video editor extraordinaire.
So it makes me sound official.
How did you get into the athletic department?
Bro, you don't even remember. You told me about your work at Seminole Productions. Like you did camera for the football games and everything. So a couple of football games, I was like your camera assist.
You're right. I didn't even remember all that. I didn't, man. What was your first job right out of college?
So back up, I had a job in college where I worked.
You said back up.
Back up, yeah. I realized my strong suit was editing and using music in my edit pieces. Like everyone would always be like, oh, Lesroy edited that one. You know, when you go to college, your whole mindset is thinking like, as soon as I get out, I'm about to get paid, right? Yeah. Like they can't give me no pennies. Bruh, I ended up getting pennies. I was so mad. I was so mad.
This episode of the production channel is sponsored by CLEMCO. Visit CLEMCO.net for all of your freelance, independent contractor, entrepreneur, and small business needs.
So how did you transition from that job to your next job or to Turner, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so the transition happened fairly seamlessly, fairly easy after that 3 years had ended, where the show that we were working on, Atlanta Tonight, ended. The job kind of transitioned into more of a corporate role.
What editing programs were you using back then?
I was using Avid strictly back then, yeah.
Okay.
Avid was like the edit of choice. I brought that up from Seminole Production days. I was on Avid. Yep. And then into that career sports and entertainment job, I was using Avid as well. So yeah, my next job kind of came as that ended. I was working into more corporate stuff, and I didn't really have that passion for the corporate side because it was kind of like ho-hum kind of stuff after a while. It was a great experience, but I knew I wanted something a little bit more lively, a little bit more action-packed, more live camera action. Obviously, the biggest player in town was Turner Broadcasting. Yep. They were starting up NBA TV. They had formed a partnership with the NBA, and they were obviously looking to hire people to manage their portfolio. So I was accepted, hired, and I moved after 5 years at Career Sports. I moved over to Turner Broadcasting, and that was the transition. Started working at NBA TV as an editor, solely as an editor. So that was super weird, right? Like, I have all these skills, jack of all trades, camera, writing, all this stuff. So it was funny when they called me back for the final interview over the phone. It's like, we want to offer you the position, and then they sent me the offer letter. I was like, I looked at the letter. I was like, so I'm getting paid this? And it was like, it was almost double my salary of what I was getting paid at the other spot. I was like, I'm about to get paid this, and all I got to do is edit? Oh, shoot. Okay.
So 5.5 years, you put in your dues, earning pennies.
Pennies. Bruh. Pennies.
Earning pennies to the point where it's like, okay, now I put in my dues, I've done all this work, and I know I'm an editor, and they're going to pay me to be an editor. And you felt like you found your place. So we're saying, 2008? How many years have you been there now then? Shoot,
yeah, it's been a minute. We're going on about 13, 14 years if my math is correct. I suck at math. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
But your edits are fly.
Right. Fly. I don't need to do math to edit.
Okay, so then, all right, 2 questions. What editing program were you using when you first got at Turner? What are you using now? And then what are some of the programs? Some of your most impressive projects.
Bruh, so I got a story for you. Oh my gosh. Okay. So all the while, Seminole Productions, Career Sports, I'm using Avid.
Avid. Yep. You said Avid.
Like, I'm hard on Avid. Like, can't nobody, well, back then, my mindset was, can't nobody touch me on Avid, right? Even though I look back at my work and I'm like, oh my gosh, bruh. Like, woo. Anyway, so the job at Turner was strictly Final Cut Pro. And your boy was sweating bullets because I had no idea how to use Final Cut Pro, right? And I was like, yeah, I know how to use it. Like in the interview, like, yeah, I know how to use Final Cut. Like, yep, proficient. Yep.
Proficient.
I'm good. I'm proficient in Final Cut. Like, yep, I know how to use it. So they gave me my start date, which was like, say, I don't know, October 15th. The interview happened around, September 4th, 5th, or whatever, like that. And they told me like, okay, your start date is going to be, you have a month, to kind of let your people know and kind of transition or whatever. So, bruh, I'm up researching Final Cut classes and courses. Like I took like 3 Final Cut classes to learn how to use Final Cut. It was like the most nerve-wracking experience, like because I had never touched the program, never knew anything about it. All I knew how to do was edit. So
yes,
obviously now looking back, it was like I could have did without those classes because it's literally an easier version of Avid. It's all editing apps are pretty much the same. You just got to know where the buttons are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just nervous for me because I'm probably what age at that point? 24 years old. Yep. So I'm just nervous because I don't want to mess up. Like I don't want to get there on the job and like they're like, oh yeah, splice in this, and I'm just like, I don't know how. Like looking up online, like how to do, like, oh my gosh. So it was nerve wracking because I was like, I told them I knew how to use Final Cut and I had never touched it in my life. But my goal was obviously to be ready, in the month of getting there. Mm-hmm. And I was. And I first got there, man, it was so easy. I was like, oh my gosh, I was stressing for no reason.
Okay, so throughout your career, what has been some of the best projects that you've worked on? What has been some of those highlight? I mean, I know you do a lot of highlight videos, but what are some of those highlights? Is like, I did that.
When I tell you, it's really hard to pick and choose. Like we're talking a career of probably like 20 to 22-ish years of work. And granted, my earlier stuff wasn't probably the best quality editing wise, but it's still like memorable because of the people I work with. Mm. And then now, like I'm doing like higher end projects, working with higher end people doing really amazing work. Not to toot my own horn, but what
was that? Not to toot my own horn, but yeah.
I had some lint right there. I had to just dust real quick. But yeah, like, so it's really hard to choose, but the things that always like stick out in my mind are the ones that like really like I remember and impacted me, or the ones that were just like, no way, I get to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they might not be the best pieces, but to me, like they stick in my heart and in my mind. And I'll go back to the career sports and entertainment project or job when I did an interview with Jamie Foxx when he won the Oscar for Ray, or it was prior to winning the Oscar for when he did the role of Ray. Mm-hmm. He came through Atlanta. I was able to help write the questions to interview him for the press junket thing. We interviewed him in like a hotel ballroom. It was me, another camera, and our host, Tamara. And so I helped write some of the questions, and I did main camera. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the room with Jamie Foxx. And I'm a 23-year-old. Yes. I'm just like, this is my favorite, watching the Jamie Foxx show growing up. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So putting that together, or being there for the production and putting it together, it like obviously was not one of the better edited pieces of my life, but it was so cool to just be in that moment to help contribute to that. And then obviously he won the Oscar. So that was just like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that always sticks out. And then I take you to, I guess, maybe like something more recently. I worked with Killer Mike on like a Black Lives Matter kind of protest speech that he did. He did an essay kind of in the vein of like Martin Luther King, just kind of being fed up with the way that Black people are being treated in this country, and expressing that from the societal like sports angle, and just like kind of connecting and just saying basically that we want change and why we want change and how we're going to get change, and just kind of like a rallying cry. And credit to the producer, Mike Moore. Like this dude, he like envisioned this. He wrote the script and he like shot it in such a great way. Like he had a huge American flag in the background. It was like black and white. Killer Mike was silhouetted walking out, so like the lights would. It was just like a phenomenally like shot piece and well thought out and well written. So putting it together was effortless. Obviously, it was a grind. We worked crazy hours, crazy amount of hours putting it together, but it was so great to work on, and I think it was probably one of the best pieces that I've worked on because of the magnitude and because of the visuals and because of the way I like integrated the music and the styling to get the message across, and then two, just like make you feel it. Like when you watch it, you like, it was one of those pieces.
Especially around the time of when it came out and the reason behind it. It was very powerful, and I remember showing that video because you sent that clip to me, and I was very proud of you in that moment. And I remember showing it to my client, and that's actually what helped seal a deal with you doing some work with my company as well. Because it's just, it was an amazing video. It was an amazing video. So from a Turner perspective, what are some of the, like, a day-to-day or a week-to-week type clips, type videos that you're working on right now?
I work in our Turner Sports, kind of our sports arena. So anything that we touch sports-wise, primarily basketball, NBA. More recently for me, I started working a lot on the NCAA side. So a lot of the men's basketball. If it's NBA season, I can be doing anything from small little features on XYZ player. Sometimes it might end up being little on-air broadcasts. So if you're watching the broadcast and you see like the epic video montage, clips, music, script written for the broadcast that opens the show before Ernie, Kenny, Chuck come on Inside the NBA, that's like the stuff that I do. I'll do that pre-hype video that gets the show started, the kickoff opener. We call them teases, as well as smaller, like little promos in the broadcast. Like when it cuts to commercial and it shows like NBA TV League Pass, get your this for $99 a month, so we call them promos at work, but to the viewer, they're called commercials. You probably skip past them, but things that enhance our broadcast for the guys while they're talking. So little video B-roll packages during certain shows, they'll cut to video, or they'll cut to like a full screen that's designed well with stats, and you see like a funny like thing. Those are the things that I'm incorporated and kind of meshed with doing, whether it be NBA, basketball, NCAA.
How would you say that relationships or mentors have helped you to transition throughout your life and throughout your career?
Whenever I meet people, I just kind of become friends and form a relationship with them, and sometimes they end up working in a field that I'm interested, or being around something that I could be interested later. So we already have that natural bond or friendship. But I don't go out and seek and say, hey, I want you to be my mentor, please. It's more of like a natural thing, like how it was with you. You were a counselor at our care program when I arrived as a freshman in college, and I didn't say like, hey, Clem, be my mentor, right? Like it was just like, I just asked you questions, I got to know you, and you were like, hey, yeah, if you want to come like see where I work, like come on, like just meet me here, boom, boom. And so it kind of was that, and then we kind of formed this relationship. But I would say mentors played a factor in more, not so in like specific like professionally, but more so as a friendship bond, and then it just turned into, let me pick your brain.
I get that completely. I mean, I think about one of the mentors that I have. He was the assistant news director at a station that I worked at in Orlando. And throughout his entire career, he just continues to grow and grow and grow. And now he's like one of the senior vice presidents for Universal, and it's just like continuing to build that bond, continuing to build those relationships. When another mentor met him at working in conventions and conferences, and now we've built a virtual studio and we're just continuing to do work together. So, you've been grinding. You said you mentioned how you set goals and you want to go after them, right? Yeah. And that's been your process in life. You right out of college, before college, you were in your television production classes. You get into college, they tell you junior year, you're like, no, sooner, sophomore year. Right out of college, you get your job. and you advance up to Turner Sports and where you are in life right now, how are you maintaining your work-life balance, grinding as much as you do?
It's really tough sometimes to maintain that balance, but I think it's important. Obviously, it's a lot of give and a little bit of take. I don't really take as much time for myself as I need to, but what I do is the moments that I do take, I make them count, right? So the quality, like my quality of life is determined by being able to do what I want when I want to do it. So, and that what that looks like for me is if I feel like working on something, I'm gonna dive all the way in, right? Sometimes I'll stay up till 3, 4 in the morning to get it done, and then have to work, the real job, at 9, 10 in the morning. So you sacrifice that sleep and that the deprivation and the tiredness, but at the end of the day, that product is like your blood, sweat, and tears, and it makes you feel proud once it's done. So I do that very often. But when it's time to take a break, like lately I've been taking like a month, and I'll just go somewhere cool, whether it be Hawaii, whether it be Montreal, whether it be, Miami, whatever, international Italy, whatever. Like I've over the past 2 years, like I've really started taking more of that European approach and mindset to vacationing, and just taking like a full 3 weeks to a month. So that's kind of like how I balance my work. Like I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know that I'm going to work crazy hard, but I'm going to take this break and kind of like refresh and recharge. Obviously things are different during quarantine and pandemic times, but when we weren't in these times, I played basketball, during the week, every Wednesday. I used to play every Wednesday and Sundays. I try to work out and kind of stay healthy and active. Try to spend time with family, try to hang out with friends, and makes it seem like I'm not just stuck in a rut of editing and working and staring at a screen all day.
Right.
It gets tough.
Okay, so what would be your dream? What's your dream project? What's that one thing that's just like, this is what I want to do before the end of my career?
I always say it, man. I always said my dream goal was to work in movies, to edit like a big blockbuster film, hopefully a good one that receives all kinds of accolades and all that stuff. I always say that's my right off into the sunset career. So after I kind of get tired of doing the whole corporate sports entertainment kind of vibe, documentaries and whatnot, like I want to transition into editing movies, films, like meaningful films that are hopefully recognized as like, oh wow, that was a great one.
What would current Lesroy tell his high school self to prepare for, to think about? What would you tell your younger self about life today?
About life? Even though I met some really great people and learned so much, to me, I feel like I could have opened the door on so many more avenues of networking and possibilities and meeting people, all that traveling and just kind of broadening my reach. If I didn't go to college, I probably would have told my younger self, don't go to college, just take time to hone all those skills in writing, directing, editing, and just like figure it out. Because what I realized is that it doesn't really matter in my profession. It didn't really matter that I got the degree. All that matters was, did I know how to do the job? Did I have a good reel? Right. So I feel like my reel could have been stronger had I just kind of like reached my tentacles out into the world and practiced and did it all. Not saying that what I learned at Seminole Production and what I did, the experience didn't help me, but I feel like I could have done more had I not been confined in that box.
Yeah, I definitely would tell, one of the things I would tell my younger self would be to study business more. Thinking about the life and the career of an independent contractor, which is one of the reasons why I wrote my book, to provide that insight for someone like me who didn't take those classes, or someone who doesn't know those types of things. So, but Lesroy Louard, thank you so much for taking this time and being a guest on the production channel, man. Thank you for all the work that you do. on our project, on our show. If there's people who want to get in contact with you and see more of your work, how can they do so?
Absolutely, man. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a blast just kind of reminiscing and reminding you of how you impacted my life way back when. But people can get in touch with me and see my work at www.louardmedia.com. That's LOUARDMEDIA.com. And as well as on Instagram at Lesroy Louard, as well as at Louard Media Photography _photography. Obviously, I'm sure the handles and stuff will be down below. Click links, right? But so yeah, I'm on Instagram as an editor, father, editor, and entrepreneur, and then also as a photographer. And then obviously my website has everything.
Cool. Again, Lesroy, thank you for your time. I encourage everyone to check out past episodes that we've had of the production channel vlog now. And thanks for tuning in. Be well.
Yes, sir.